I mean, the pollen was really high.
Oh, yeah.
It should be alright. Hi.
Ah, cool.
Okay, so let's see what he's doing with this barrel because it is his way of doing it. Do you not want water in these? Because if you flip them upside down, they'll drain out on their own.
See, he's anticipating already.
That's okay. He just wants to be a star.
Good boy. Over. Over. Over.
Okay, so in order for him to actually succeed, his front legs have to be beyond. So that's where you would want to focus. Because as you back him away from the mounting block, he's going to think to swing over anyway.
Okay.
So chances are he's going to do it right if you get his front feet right.
So just back him up.
Just keep backing him up, and you can keep the other hand up in the air so he knows you still are looking for the over, but his front feet matter right now more than his hind end.
Back.
Still more.
Okay.
Good.
Boy. Over. Good boy. Over. You can do it. Over. Over.
So now just give like a little jiggle on the snap to make sure he knows that he's not done.
Over.
And you're not done yet.
Over.
Yep. Back that one foot up so now you can communicate again to that front foot, which will cause the hind feet to probably reactivate.
Good boy. And over. 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 Over.
Yep. Don't quit him, because if you quit him, then he's going to think that, yep.
Good boy.
Yep.
Over.
So that's good. You're rewarding him turning his head. You're rewarding him knowing that has something to do with turning my head to let you know.
No. 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 Over.
So again, when he stalls out like that, consider bumping that snap as if you're like tapping him on the shoulder, saying, excuse me, we're not done.
Over. Over.
Go ahead and tap him on the shoulder again. Yep. Yep.
Over.
Yep. There you go. There you go. Yep. 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 And then bump him back one step because he's too close to the front feet again. So you're just going to need to.
His idea is, well, I'll just keep getting closer to
Yep.
him.
Yep. Yep. It's a form of overachieving, but if you manage the front feet,
Good boy.
you'll be able to get the rest of it.
Yes. Over. Should I help him?
No, bump him. He knows it.
Over.
So I'm gonna, when we get one more step from him, I'm gonna let you reward him, and then I'm gonna kind of show you how
Over.
more fluid it can be, so that way he can kind of not take so much time with this stall that he's got
Over.
going on.
Over. Yes. Wouldn't you have the line on the other side?
Not once they know it. No.
That's why I'm thinking, do I cheat? Over. No. Come on.
Okay, go ahead. You can go ahead and give him support by putting it over his head. And it's okay.
And then he can follow through like that.
That's okay. Okay. So, and since that kind of happened, what I'll do is I'll take him from you and kind of remind him.
I don't know where I'm going.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You're being patient where patience now is not important. Okay, so he should just be able to come up here and see how I kind of nagged at him until he thought it through, because I didn't want him to spend any time. Good job. I want him to spend any time thinking it through. Sorry, all my ropes are dirty.
That's okay. They're going to get dirty.
Okay, because I always feel bad using somebody else's.
Please don't. Break it in.
They're better when they're dirty because you get a better grip on them.
Better grip.
Okay, it's far enough, back. Nope.
Okay. So that's where I was messing up. I wasn't backing him.
Yes, and you were believing he was still in the discovery phase of it.
Yeah.
He knows it. Okay? So now it's kind of like, hey, get over here.
Okay.
Okay? Without being mean, just being insistent.
Okay.
And really not, like, don't give him, like, counts of 3. You know, be like, hey, didn't I just tell you to come over here?
Okay.
Oh, boy.
That's why I got a black light.
Yeah, mine, they've been dragged around arenas in the mud. Mine are filthy, but I like my filthiest one the best. Yeah. Now what you can do is you can gently give him a little bit of your left knee into his shoulder and ask him to step away with his shoulder. Just kind of say, step off. Carefully doesn't go forward. Be ready to correct the forward.
Step off. Yep. Pushing against me.
Yep. That's okay. Yep. As soon as but don't play a game of tug of war. Play a game of step off, and then keep your knee there until he does. So don't let him rock you back and forth and become this kind of a game. Yep. You can give him a little bump. Anytime you need to say, hey, excuse me, you're not even thinking this through. There. Good. Now quit. Even though he didn't move far, he moved away.
Okay.
So we need him to just understand that that's what you asked for. Now you can gently ask him for another step away. Step off.
Step off. Step off. Step
Okay,
off.
yep, pushing against, yep, just don't turn it into a rock. I'm watching him rock, which means you guys are rocking back and forth to each other. So it's more of a gentle, hey, just talking to you, you know.
Step off.
Yep, there you go.
Step off. Step off. Step off. Step off. Step off. He's really pushing me. He is.
Okay, so you keep doing that, and I'm going to help him.
Okay. Push off.
Good boy.
Okay. Should we try that again?
So give him plenty of reward with rubs and scratches. Let him believe that that's a really nice place to get a scratch in a place you wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. Then, when you get down off the mounting block, you're going to say, okay, before you walk off. And the reason you're going to do that is you're going to give him a release. Because you want him to stay here while you mount all those things. Until you say, okay, he should move his feet again. He should be waiting for a release. Because if you just get off and start walking away, he's going to think that's eventually going to happen. And then what he's going to do is he's going to start anticipating it. And then before you know it, he doesn't stop for long. Because he's like, well, you're going to tell me to walk away anyway.
That's what he was doing with this mount, with coming to the mounting block. And it was anywhere at all. He was anticipating it.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I'm just going to do it no matter where.
Right.
Okay. That's good.
Yep, so also where you face your belly button is very important. So you can't make him wrong if he's over here and you're standing like this trying to get him, because now he's going to try to present the saddle area to your belly button. And if you plan on doing this, but it's here right now, you're saying come here. You have to be...
Okay. So turn my torso.
Right. Because wherever your belly button's facing, he's going to keep bringing his rib cage to your belly button.
Good point.
So now back him completely away because he's not even facing the right way. So back him completely out of there. And do that with the wiggle now. Like say, you know, I need you to back away. Yep. Send him forward, but don't let him go around you. Okay. So this would be like when we're lunging. So now from this position, just like you were going to lunge him, send him out, then tell him, wait, I was just kidding. Back, and now over him from there. So you just have to manage his front feet, and then his back feet will follow suit.
Good boy. That's it. Over. Over.
Yep.
Over. Over. Good. Over. We're not done. We're not done. Over.
Good boy. Good boy.
Good boy.
And I'm glad the tension came out of the line. I would prefer that the communication is rhythmic versus a steady pressure. So instead of taking a tug on him, free energy in the line instead.
All right.
Okay. The only time that you would really turn it into a tug is if no energy is communicating to his feet. Like if he's off up here, like he has been doing, and you wiggle to try to get him to back up, and he either pushes against or holds strong. Give him a second to respond to the wiggle, because that's the best deal. Once you have to start tugging on him, that's not the best deal.
Right.
So we want to make sure we always offer him the best deal, but we're prepared to support if he doesn't respond. So in a case like that too, see, he got away with getting off the mounting, like, you know, he's already moved away, instead of waiting for you to get down. And then what I do usually, when I say he's right here, I'll step down off the mounting block, give him a rub from this spot right here. I'll give him a rub right here. I'll say, okay, in my rub. Okay. And then we walk off. Because that's the position he should want to be in. He should want to be at that crease with you. He shouldn't, when you walk with him, so that way he's always walking with you and not. I'm not one of those trainers that thinks a horse should be walking behind you. I think that's actually quite dangerous. Especially if your horse doesn't have a lot of respect for you. You are not going to be anything but a speed bump to them.
Or if they spook.
Exactly. You're just a speed bump to them. You're just something they're going to run over, but keep going. So there,
Is it okay to tell him
to tell him, like there, I wouldn't have allowed him to come so far forward, because now what you're doing is you're giving him an opportunity to do it wrong, only to have to be corrected, as opposed to giving him the option to not do it wrong, so then you don't have to correct him. So when leading him up, you can ask him to pause here, and then you carry on and try to explain to him he needs to stay there. And how you can explain that to him is be prepared to just throw some energy in that line as you get on the mountain.
to make sure he stays back?
Make sure he stays there until he's told to come. Yep. There you go. Good. Now that made more sense to him. Even though he jumped right up to it, it's okay. Now that's what you wouldn't want to make him run for. You know, him overachieving and showing a little enthusiasm to get it done. Now, the only other thing that you'd want to do is make sure that, like you were saying, he was setting up in the complete wrong spot. So, of course, we're going to fix that and make sure he understands this is the right spot. However, you're not going to climb on his withers, right? So we want to make sure that we give him a little reward because he's still in the learning phase, but now we need him to learn where. So what I would do is I would just show your trees and ask him with the rope in your hand. Yep, so you're just going to point to the trees, and hopefully you don't need a go cue because you don't want him to go. So what I do is when I want my horses to take one step at a time, I say step up.
I do too.
Okay.
Step up.
Good boy.
He knows that.
Okay, good,
Boy.
perfect.
Good boy. Good boy. He knows he's gonna step up.
Good.
That's awesome.
And it's so important for, like, so many times people, kiss or cluck at a horse and they want them to come to them, they kiss and cluck at a horse and they want them to move. Like, for them, like, there's no such thing as slang. I mean, that's like, it means so many different things. So if we always give them something that means a specific thing, they're happy to comply. Step up means don't walk off, take a step forward.
Right.
You know, and kiss means please walk until I tell you otherwise.
So now I do know that if he sets up here, I just need to send him.
Yeah, but don't send him around you. The trick with this is to never allow him to make a full circle, because then you'll start a pattern of full circles, and they're happy to just circle with you all day long. Because if they don't understand the game and they have a history of being bad at the mounting block, they're just going to spend all their time trying to go around you to avoid And there's really no, like, this part, like, he should just love that you're scratching his back, you know. So what I would do is I would send him to the woods, and then I'd invite him back. So I would tell him to go that way. So literally he would pass me. Then I would guide his nose back towards me, and then I would say, hey, by the way, I kind of wanted to do this game. Okay? Sure. In fact, why don't you start him with his tail towards the road, and then while you're on the mounting block, send him past. Because we could do so many cool things where you can, like, I think I did a figure eight with him already from the mounting block, where you can have him do an entire obstacle course that's set up around the mounting block. You've done nothing. You've done nothing but stay there and orchestrate.
Now, he should not be doing this, correct?
Well, you're not really paying attention to him, so he doesn't have to pay attention to you.
Nope, that.
Wobbly. That's pretty damn noise.
I'll face him that way, correct?
Yeah, or even if you want, go back to like the gate and walk in and leave him behind. Like, you don't have to go out the gate or anything. Just, bring him over here and then leave him kind of behind, and then walk over the mounting block, and then get on the mounting block and just send him past. And then when you guide his nose back towards you, then you just, as I call it, strike a pose. Tell him to go over to you from there. Yep. That's okay. Never correct what worked out.
Step up.
Good boy.
You got your own top on. Over. Not off.
Okay. Yep. Opportunity to try again. So now, like I said, don't let him go around. You back him up. Do it as a wiggle instead of a steady pressure. Yep.
Back.
I consider anything steady pressure like micromanaging.
Back.
I would rather have a language than micromanaging. Yep.
Back.
Yep. You can make it louder if necessary, though. Yep.
I can't tell him he's wrong, Kirsten. Oh boy, look at that. Oh boy. Even we went to a ride once Saturday. A friend of mine came from Baltimore, the one that used to lease him,
Okay.
and she said to me, "He is so much better at the mountain block." Yay! I said, "Yes, he is. He's a good boy."
Okay. Now what we can do is we can make that. See, sometimes when they really do something good like that becomes something they're very successful at. I leave that for in case we have another problem. So say we're going to work on the circle.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden he's really struggling, or he's really, having kind of a meltdown about it for whatever reason. You can relieve him from that stress by asking him to do something he so knows he's good at.
Proud of.
Yep.
And we did work on the circle too.
Okay.
And he did much better because I'm doing better with asking him to disengage and stop.
Okay. So let's give a look. Now remember, it has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So what we want to do is we want to take that assumption away, because that was where he had negative feelings. Okay. So this is where making sure that your hand is in a pointing fashion versus an over fashion. Yep. Because he saw your hand go up and thought over. Also, when trying to lengthen your line, let him take it. Because do you see what's happening with the line as you're trying to lengthen it?
It's moving.
You're wiggling it.
No, I didn't tell you that. Keep going. No, you weren't like this. No, keep going. Come on.
definitely need to, because he's taking the initiative to be a little aggressive. He's not doing it in response. He's doing it all on his own.
Yes, I'm seeing that tonight.
Mm-hmm. It's threatening in an overachieving kind of way.
Is it okay to swing the end of the rope like when he does this?
Yeah, and I would swing it at his shoulder. I would want to get the part of him that's coming at me to go away from me. So I would not swing it at his hind end because he's actually protecting his hind end. That's why he's overachieving the way he is with his hind end. Good boy. Yep. Yep, there you go. Good. So that's just kind of going to be your way of kind of saying, that's not acceptable.
Right, I've done nothing to deserve that.
There, good. Yep, again. There, good. And it's okay that he's trotting. We didn't ask for it. Again. Good. Again. Good. So start watching that eye and watching the tip of his head. What he does is he gives you a little bit of the white of that eye and he bends at the pole right before he does it. So watch his eye and see right there. See how you stand? See right there? Oh, you meant to do it? Okay.
Good boy.
Good boy.
See, he doesn't have that awful look.
Right.
I stopped him.
Right, and good boy, yeah.
Okay.
Like, please tell me this is good.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay, so we definitely have to make him, like, those yields were very, like, defensive, yet he wasn't like, you did nothing to initiate them. So we want to kind of explain to him that he doesn't need to have those experiences and, you know, the negative conversation he's trying to have with you. And it's not even like he's not like saying, I want to stop. He's anticipating being told to stop. That's why he overprotects his hind end.
Yeah. And usually when I do lunch, even before, like, we would go for a while. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, we wouldn't constantly stop or.
So let me teach him something so we can make this even more interesting for him. So I'm going to just go over to the fence rail real quick.
Okay.
So what I'm going to teach him what I call a turn on the rail, which is going to turn into a change of direction on the circle. But I have to break it down into a smaller piece for him. So what I do is I ask them to stand on the rail. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back and give him room to cross in front of me and then face the other way. Okay, so I'm going to face him, step back, feed him through here. Now I'm going to wait for him to lick and chew because I caught him off guard a little bit because he wasn't 100% sure that even what we were doing was something. And I think I told you I don't do things just direction. I'll turn them back. So I'm going to release them. I'm not going to do one that way.
Oh, I see. Okay. So he's not coming on the other side of you.
Yeah, he's expected to cross in front of me. So that way when he's on a circle and I want him to change direction, I'm going to just be able to go like this, and he's going to just change direction.
That looks pretty fluid.
Yep. So like he's ready for me to show it to him on a circle. And the reason I'm going to show it to him on a circle and not you, in case it turns into a charge, because I've invited him in.
Okay.
Back. Nope. Nope. Back. Nope. Back. So I'm going to do it in the same direction that I just did it on the rail. See, he was facing that way on the rail. So now I'm going to make everything look exactly the same.
So you wouldn't, like, pet him and stuff until he loses that sour face?
Yes, he has to ask me a question. So I'm going to tell him to change directions again. Yield. Don't assume, don't assume. So I'm choosing to keep doing it in the same spot because we were down on the fence. Nice, good job. And I'm choosing to yield here again because it didn't mean anything here either.
I look so awkward, I think.
So do you understand why I'm doing it where I'm doing different things?
Yep, absolutely.
Because I taught it on the fence.
This way.
It just means it's just further off the fence, but it still mentally should be the same to him. This is the high yield that I corrected, so this is the one I'm working on. Okay, so I'm not going to do it there yet. I'm not going to do it there yet because if I keep high yielding him in all different places, then I got to correct it in all different places.
Okay.
For right now, eventually it'll be gone, but we need him to just kind of get a pattern going for us. So I'm not going to do it again right now because I want him to guess, so I can tell him no, not until I tell you. Because otherwise, you develop too much of a pattern with them. I didn't say that yet. Oh, but how about right there?
So Kirsten, when he comes around that side, right, and he's facing this way, are you tugging on that lead?
Nope.
You're just guiding it.
I'm drawing him with my body.
Okay.
So I'm drawing with my body. Now your hand position matters. Good boy. Here, be a star. 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 Yep. Be a star. You got it. Yeah. So anytime they offer, when it was like almost like an honest mistake that he offered that, I'm not gonna make him wrong. You know, I'm gonna acknowledge that, hey, that was really great, but let me do it because I asked you to. So we'll go down and we'll do it on the rail, okay, so I can show you the mechanics of it, because the back up, imagine that you've got some kind of draw, like magnetic draw off your belly button. And you kind of can almost everything you do with them. Imagine that you have a magnetic draw on your belly button, okay? That will always bring their nose, okay? So when he's on the rail and I want him to change directions, I'm going to draw his nose, and then I'm going to ask his front end to go around, okay? Oh boy, you're all right. You're all right. You don't need all that. You don't need all that. You don't need all that. Now, the guide around, too. So, let's see. Where can I stand? So I'm going to show you the guide around. You're all right. You're all right. You're all right. So, my draw first, and then I'm going to guide him. I didn't touch him. I didn't do anything. Now, my hand can be part of the guide. So he doesn't know it this way, so. You got it. Okay. So he's got it pretty good now, where it should be pretty fluid. I want his hind feet to stay out there on the turn. Okay, I know it was an honest mistake. like his hind feet should stay out there if you want to turn. So,
I know what you're saying.
back, back, back. So that's why I do it on the rail, because I imagine that I just pin his tail to the fence. So when I draw him towards me, he's still supposed to keep his tail on the fence. His front end does all the work. I have to be very aware of getting out of his way though, because if I don't step far enough back and he's going to bump into me, that's not fair. He's going to try to figure something else out. So you always want to make sure that when you ask them to draw off the rail with the intention of changing direction, you give him plenty of room to cross in front of you, and then you close that right back in. So say he's facing this way, he's bringing this eye, this eye, this eye, this eye. As soon as I see that other eye, I'm ready to start closing in and pushing the eye back to the fence. Right? If I spend it's not a walk. So if you find that you pull him off the rail and now you kind of end up over there, you didn't do it right. Okay, so if it turns into a walk, then stop and think, how can I keep him still? And it's probably because you're moving your feet too much. Really, your feet need to just go like this.
Okay.
You're basically making a peak of a triangle off of him. Okay? We're going to get you to where you don't have to make these ugly faces.
Am I gonna try that?
Yes, yep. They're not ruin it. They're very forgiving, right? So since we've been doing it this way, we're going to keep doing it this way. We don't change things until we master the direction or one speed. Yep, so there, so if you're guessing something short, that could have been a level of lack of confidence. Like, oh, you didn't like the squeeze between you and the fence. So where would you want to, if say that was the case, he was nervous about the squeeze between you and the fence, what would you need to do now? Like, what would be your next course of action? Okay. You could do that. So what you would do is you would erase your plan of your turn and say, oh wait, you're having a problem with this, let's fix this. Always fix pieces that are broken. Don't ignore a broken piece. Don't ignore the of the car. Okay? You always have to decide, ooh, was this broken? We gotta fix this. Like, I could be doing something really, really advanced with one of my horses, but the backup was broken. Well, that will screw up my entire thing. I gotta stop, fix my backup, and then I can go back. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of holes in the training are you know, and then the horse really never learned that part, and then you don't have it to use. So I would ask him to come to the rail, and then I would ask him to stop and see if he can't comfortably stay standing between you and the fence. If he can't, then I would try again. If he can't, then I would try again. And make sure you don't totally squeeze him. So give him a rub now, because we did imagine that there was some kind of comfort issue there. Good. So now if you believe that that's fixed, I would try it one more time just to make sure. I'm always a believer that they can make the mistake of doing it right once. So we want to make sure that he actually understood that he was asked to stop between you and the fence. Good. Yep. Yep. And then you got to be really, really aware of where you are in position to where you want him to be, especially when there's another obstacle. Because if we're walking between him, like we're expecting him to be between us and the fence, but we've squeezed that space so small and he can't do it. So, and it happens a lot when we work on like games that are on the rail, where gradually you start getting closer and closer to the rail and he starts squeezing out like, I can't get in there. So we're gonna always make sure that we follow our path and then he gets his path. Okay. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn, you're gonna put but the rope in your excess rope can be in your left hand, but your right hand is going to be attached to the snap. So anytime you want to give a horse direction, your hand closest to the snap is the one that gives direction. You should allow a drag. So in other words, you back up and your hand can be loose, so that way the rope can drag through your hand. And then when you get far enough back and his nose starts with your belly button, point that way. Point the right hand that way, because that's the hand that's going to guide with the left. And you're going to guide his cheek. You have to, you're going to guide his nose first, and then his cheek, and then his neck. So you just kind of do like a swooping.
Don't slide my hand downward. No, because I would get too close.
Right, and then once you're on the rail, you roll the rope back into your hand. So very loose hands make rope management easy. Being able to grip fast, but not hold a grip. Well, he feels you thinking. You're thinking all the mechanics. He's asking you, whoa, wait a minute. There's a lot of things going on there. A lot of gears are turning. Yes, yes, yes. That's okay. Except for he walked, and we didn't stay on the rail. Everybody, right.
So he should just turn and stand.
He should literally go, like you just staple gun his tail to the fence.
That's because I didn't do that.
Right. So when he drew out, that was fine, and then you didn't know what to do, or you lost track of what you were gonna do, and then he just said, "Oh, okay, I guess we're done," and walked away. He didn't do anything wrong. There were no further instructions. Yes. Give him room. Yep. There you go. Good. So instead of quick to give him a tug or quick to give him a steady pressure, no wiggle. He does seem to have a tug offensive thing. He gets, he kind of tosses his head up from a tug.
Because I do tug, because I don't know, I'm not good at this.
That's all right. You're just learning it. Can't beat yourself up yet. Give me a little while before I beat you up. Okay, so that was a tug with vibration. Okay? So you want to make sure that the line is loose enough that you can actually cause rhythm. Cause it to snake-like.
How am I getting where am I going wrong?
You're backing up and you're getting lost. So what you want to do is you want to back up, and as soon as this eye starts to present itself like that, so I can see part of his eye. As soon as that eye presents itself like he's there, now I would be closing him over to the fence. So it's from a draw to a drive. Yep. Now drive him back to the fence. There you go. Excellent. Good. And now the other thing that you could do is then turn and face the same direction as him as if you were going to walk off. Because a lot of times, like if I'm working at Liberty or whatever, I'll do a and they do a change right there. So I don't always walk off. They need to know what my body's saying. It's like here we're not walking off, so we don't want him to think he can. But if you turn and are ready to, then he can wait for further instructions that way. If you stay facing him, there's a chance that he's either going to feel a lot of pressure, because you're like, even though he doesn't necessarily, believe you're about to attack him, it's still a lot of focus. Makes him comfortable. Sure. Yeah. And I actually, there's some of my videos you'll see I work with the people and I let the horse loose, and I play Naughty Pony, so I can give you like instant, true verbal feedback what I'm seeing you're doing and what the horse probably sees you're doing. So if I felt like I think that's the best anybody's ever done, okay. So if I felt like you needed that, I would turn him loose and we would play you and me. But that other than not being right up against turn on the wrist. So try one more. And then we're going to give a shot on the circle. The only thing that I need you to make sure is that you're ready to put energy at him if he were to perceive it as something he should charge about. Right? Now make sure you give him enough room, and then you make sure that you drive before he gets going too far away from you. Yeah, there you go, there you go, there you go, good. Good. Very good. Tugging can create that. Even though we do it maybe to manage them, but sometimes a tug is aggressive on our end. And it shouldn't have, this has usually. Yeah, I mean, you tied it correctly. I know. Okay. Yes. So, when you ask him to go on the circle, where are you going to ask him to change direction? What direction are we going to start in? Okay. And then we're going to ask for the change. Okay. And then you can choose wherever you want for the hind yield. However, I wouldn't choose the hind yield where we're doing the change. And you can choose any of the rest of the circle, but be prepared to say, don't come in. Okay? Ambidextrous is going to have to be something you're going to work really hard at. Well, it is until you ask for your change. So, yep, so he's circling this way, circling this way. As soon as you're ready for the change, now it goes this way. Well, it's almost like, because the draw also involves a little bit of a, come with me, so it's like a little bit of a hunched over draw. So when you get ready to do your hunch, change hands then. Because if you change hands sooner, he may hear you sooner. Okay? And then he's going to do it sooner and it's not going to work out, and then you're going to get frustrated. So, and if you do it too late, like he gets changing and then your hands aren't in the right place, and he's spinning and looking at you like, what? Okay? So you want to, so plan on changing when you plan your draw. So as soon as you think, okay, I'm going to draw, change hands. Okay? Yep. They get to, yeah, well, and the draw is very natural for them. Because remember, we're using their language, we're just proving to them that we understand it. So don't allow that big of a mistake. Nope, so I would have backed him up. So that you made him very wrong when you could have just said, no, you didn't hear me. Okay, so those are the kinds of things we want to stop doing, so that way we can help him believe that we're not going to be harsh on him in his wanting to do good. Good. Yep, and allow the drift. Good. Don't yield in that spot though. You can yield here, you can yield anywhere you want now. What I love about that is he had this whole, I have to do this whole yield thing. He's like, I didn't get a reaction. His ears came at you like, well, that was different. I stayed out here like a good boy, and yeah, I made ugly faces, but I'm going to figure out I don't have to do that. So now what you want to do is when you plan your turn, so let's just say you're standing in the center here, and you want to make a turn on that rail, which is great, but if he's this close to you, don't. Okay. Because how much you would have to back up to get that turn, inviting him almost like off the gate. Okay? So you want to make sure that, say he's really close to you, what broke it? The distance. So now I have to fix the distance before I can do that. So I think did we do something where we were trying to tell him get out of our space, or no, we didn't give him a cue? So I say out. So that, and I put my focus on their girth or ribs, depending on how much, if more of the front end's coming at me, then it's more at their girth. If their ribs are coming at me, it's more at their ribs. Like your horse comes at you with ribs, but he's threatening. He's not doing it because he's creeping in on the circle. He's doing it because he's like, see, I got my ribs at you. You know, he means business. Yeah. Okay. So let's just say hypothetically he's a little too close to you when you thought you'd want to do it. You gotta change the plan. See if you can get it one more time. If still he's still in, now you have to say, okay, I can't do it until I fix this. So then as he's coming around, pay attention to his pattern. If his pattern is I start in right about here, start telling him over here,